All right, so here we are. We've got the alternator all installed now, and everything seems to work out pretty well. Let's get a close-up. All right, so you can see the new alternator is now installed, and the alignment on the pulleys are bang on, which they weren't before. We have our single wire heading out to the battery, and what we did is we took some of the original brackets we ripped off, and we made a new pivot. Here's the bolt. So we've got about a 4-inch piece of tubing in there with our 7-inch bolt, and that is our pivot. And then I cut apart all the original brackets and I welded up this unit. So the part attached to the water pump is part of the original bracket, and then I made the piece that goes up onto the alternator and cut through the slide so that we can now adjust it, and it works really well. So we're very happy with the outcome. So now we're on to the rest of the stuff. Hey, welcome back, guys. So we're back in the shop here. We're going to finish up getting this tank ready to install. I did realize after we were shooting a video on welding up all this stuff, the memory card was full and didn't finish the video, and I get the memory card being full because that's me every day. So anyways, the welding did turn out good. So we got a few things we got to finish here. We've got a couple of bolts for the fuel sender. The bolt holes that we had drilled and tapped had warped a little bit, so I got to reset those. I got one more hole to drill here and tap, and then we're going to install the fuel plate, and then the last thing we're going to do once everything's ready to go is we're going to pressure test this to make sure we didn't have a pinhole somewhere in the weld. Now, pressure test these things, we just get a bottle of soapy water and low pressure, like 2-3 pounds, and once I've got all that done, we'll walk through that and see how we did, whether we got it right or whether we got to send it back to get a little bit of work done. Let's get at it. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install this unit. So let's get going on that. Now, one thing I did find when we drilled the tank for this thing is that it actually doesn't fit in one direction. So these plates are not universal one way to the other. So if you're ever having to do this, you need to pay attention to that. Take the gasket off. Apparently that's easier said than done. Why can't I leave the gasket on the underside? I probably can. A little bag of hardware here. Okay, this is already a pain in my butt. What the hell's going on here? Come on. My hands are too fat for this kind of shit. There we go. Oh. Sit, Ubu. I'll make sure I get this put the right way, so yeah. Yeah, geez, these things are just pain in the bunskis, these are. Come on. Sure. First you went in. Now you fall out. Oh, hang on. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do now before we put this in is we got to get a pickup tube of some description put in here for the fuel. Otherwise, that's not going to work so good. All right, let's get that sorted. Okay, so what I've got here is what I believe to be a piece of 10 AN line left over from another project. So we're going to use that as our pickup in the tank. So we're going to mark that off, wrap it in some duct tape, and cut it with a zippy disc. There's lots of different ways to cut this stuff. I haven't had a lot of success with anything but the zippy disc, as long as you wrap it with this. And you got to be careful, because when you cut them, all these little stainless braids on the outside really do a number on your fingers. Okay. Okay, so somewhere, I would say somewhere about there needs to cut. So I put this right in the middle. Okay, give that a good thing. Now, over to the vise. All right, and there's my cutter. So just get some safety goggles on. Okay, the one thing you really got to do after you've cut it, you got to blow this stuff out of there, because there's a lot of particulate inside this tube now from cutting it. It's the downside to doing it this way. And you don't want to have that obviously in your fuel system. So take a few minutes, blow it out, run a rag through there if you can. Anything and everything you can get out is going to be beneficial before your pickup, your fuel filter has to pick it up. All right, let's get it cleaned up. All right, so we've got that set. So just got to go around now and snug these puppies up. Yeah, that's going to take way too long. All right. Power tools. Or as Tim Toolman would say. Okay. Hello, bud. Good, how are you?
Are you on camera?
Yep. It's okay. This is the parts I edited out anyway.
Okay. You're working on the gas tank.
Yeah. It's taken a long time, but we're finally getting somewhere. What are you up to tonight?
Hang on.
What?
How come that's welded?
Because we sent it out and got it welded.
Where's the float that I put in?
It's right here.
Oh, it's inside?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you didn't put it in.
No. Yep, so just getting the last little bits here. I'm waiting on a few pieces, and we can pressure test the tank.
Nice.
Once we know it's good, then it's in the truck and run all the rest of the fuel lines and hook up the carburetor.
Very good.
All right, we've got that buttoned up. Now we're going to work on this. Right, there is the sending unit out. So I've already got the tap set here, so I'm going to re-tap those holes that tightened up with the welding. Nope. What I'm going to do, take some tape, put that on the inside with a little bit of grease. Smear a little grease on some of the tape, not the parts you want to still be sticky. And then stick that under the hole and hope it frickin' stays there. Yeah, you're not, are you? A little bit of grease on the tap. Idea of this is that any filings that come off will get caught and not fall into the tank. Far enough. All right, you can see the filings are actually stuck on the little piece of greasy tape. Clean off the top and redo it on the other one. Well, we'll improvise because that seems to be how everything gets done around here. And a little smear of grease. Stick that under the other hole. Wrap that down the side so I don't drop everything into the tank. On this hole. So it helps to get it under the right hole. Under that one. Oop, grease the tap. See, my memory card's almost full for the day. I'm going to run the bolt down there just to make sure it is good. So I'm going to put a little bit of grease on that just to make sure it picks up any things that might still be sitting in the threads. Yep, that's fine. And that one. Yeah, that's fine. Ah. Right, so the only other thing I got to do now, because I'm an idiot and I didn't do it before I pulled this out, come on. Well, it was in there. There we go. Oh, I gotta grind that first. Okay, so I gotta machine off some of the weld from that patch so that this thing sits nice and smooth. So we take our trusty Sharpie and make a mark so I know where I got to grind. And turn the air on. Oh yeah, this will be fun. our best to cover that hole. Okay, I'm down a tool. Ah, there it is. I think I want a new disc. I don't think I like that one. Hit a bit of a snag. When I was grinding this area and re-drilling and re-tapping, turns out we now have a crack from the last hole we put in right through this weld. Let me show you. So there you can see the crack. So the last hole we drilled and tapped has put a crack right through that weld. So because of that, we've had to change our plans. So we've had to build a second hole for the fuel sender to go in. So what we're going to do is we built this patch. I'm going to take it back down and weld the patch in that hole, grind and clean up the weld, and hopefully that solves our problem. So we'll carry on.